Hi there, my name is Kimber Hill, and I'm an instructor at Modern Martial Arts Academy here in DeLand, Florida. I am really excited today because I get to present Century's new Little Dragon curriculum on video. Century's new Little Dragon curriculum encompasses life skills and safety skills, as well as martial arts skills, making it a very well-rounded curriculum. Now, I'm going to show you some of the skills and drills as they're presented in the curriculum, but I'm also going to give you some tips and show you some variations to those. So I want you to use your creative imagination when you're training your staff and when you're implementing this in your school so you can have a lot of fun and make this the best curriculum you teach. This unit is on fire safety. Fire safety is a great unit for kids. They get a lot of training on this at school and hopefully a little bit at home. Now, to really make this even more interesting, especially more than what they can do at school, we're going to do a lot of physical activities with it. First of all, bring in props if you can. It also recommends, if possible, to bring in a firefighter. And I'm sure in your school sometime or another, you're going to have a firefighter or an EMT or a police officer or someone that can help you enlist the services of a real firefighter to come out here, and maybe they can even bring a fire truck and show the kids the truck, but at least come out here in full uniform and maybe even the full garb with the hat and the jacket and the boots and everything. Kids just love it. It is so cool. And then later, if you decide in some of your other safety units, it's always a good idea to get an EMT and or a police officer too. And I like to do it right around the fire safety unit because we're talking about emergencies in general. As a matter of fact, this unit does cover calling 911. And so firemen, policemen, and an ambulance are the three types of people that would respond to a 911 call. So it's nice to have those people come in too to familiarize yourself or familiarize them with what those people do, what they're going to look like, what kind of uniforms they have. Little Dragon age kids sometimes are intimidated by people in uniform. I learned that the hard way the first time I took my daughter to go to Chuck E. Cheese, I think for her 5th birthday, and she freaked out by the giant dog that was, coming up to talk to her. So we don't want the children to be freaked out by these people who are here to help them. So expose them to it in a safe, positive, friendly environment like this, and then if they ever have to work with them in the future, they're going to feel more comfortable. Now, going through the lesson, or going through this unit, the first lesson is on the smoke detector. And I don't have a smoke detector with me today, so I'm just going to use this picture as a guide. And does anybody know what this is? Who can raise their hand and tell me what this is? Oh, good. Next time, raise your hand first, and then I'll call on you. But that's exactly what it is. It's a smoke detector. So what is a smoke detector? A smoke detector discovers any smoke. If there's any smoke anywhere in your house, it will discover it, and it will make a really loud noise so that it will let you know that there's a fire somewhere in the house, and you can get out, or you can find the fire and put it out. But of course, Mom and Dad would have to do that. Now, this can be really loud, and it can actually hurt their ears or shock them a little bit. Alex is one of the younger ones in our Little Dragon program, and he obviously didn't know what this is. So if you have one, actually I purchased one at Kmart for just $4. It's a good idea just to have one in a little box full of props and a battery to go with it, so that when you're doing this unit, you can actually sound off that smoke detector so they know what it sounds like, they know what it looks like, and then in future lessons, they're going to know what to do when that happens. Now, the next lesson is about stop, drop, and roll. Kids know about stop, drop, and roll usually, but they have very little opportunity to practice it. In the martial arts school, what better opportunity do we have than to practice this over and over and over? You're going to see in just a little bit how we incorporate this into some fun games and activities, but every time we do it, they have to do all 3 steps: stop, drop, and roll. It is a natural reflex for children or for people in general when they get hurt or if they were to catch on fire to run for help. But of course, as we know, as they run, the fire will get worse. So we really want to reiterate the point where they have to stop, drop, and roll first, then get help second. And this is a little different than some of the other first aid or safety issues that we've talked about. So play a lot of games. This fire safety unit is a big unit. It's got lots of lessons that go with it. Try to do some sort of activity each time so they get lots of practice. All right, now this is a really fun game to reiterate the point of stop, drop, and roll. For children especially, but really for anyone, if we were to get on fire, the natural instinct is to run for help, not to stop what you're doing and roll on the ground. We want to build that into muscle memory and build that into habit. So what we're going to do in the classroom today is we're going to play fire tag, and I'm it. I'm the fire. And if I tag them, then that means that they get on fire. And if they get on fire, they have to stop, drop, and roll immediately. And if they do that, then they can jump right back up afterwards and get right back into the game. Now we're going to try to play until everybody's had a turn, and then if you want, you can even have one of the students actually be fire or be it, or one of your assistants. But I know all my kids need to practice on stop, drop, and roll, so I'm going to be the fire today. Dragons, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now on the count of 3, when I say go, you better run for me because I'm the fire. Ready? 1, 2, 3, run! I got you, stop, drop, and roll! And I got you, stop, drop, and roll! And... oh! And I got you, stop, drop, and roll! I got you, stop, drop, and roll! Very good! All right, dragons, back up and line up right here at ready stands. I got you first! Oh, yeah! Dragons have a lot of fun playing tag, especially with their instructor. So I highly recommend you do that at least once. So reiterate this often so they can remember, what do? Stop, drop, and roll! Have fun. The next lesson that we have is actually a fire drill. And we are going to show you a fire drill and how I run the fire drill with my dragons. We also have an after-school program here. And with that after-school program, we have an emergency exit plan, and we do fire drills often here. But we make sure that at least some point, at one time or another, all of our dragons and all of our kids, actually, for that matter, have gone through some sort of fire drill here just in case. Here in our school, we have pull-down stations for if an emergency fire happens, so we explain what that looks like and what they're there for. We also have sprinklers in the ceiling, and the kids are always so curious as to what those things are anyway. So I explain to them how those work as well. So if you have those things in your school, then feel free to point those out and talk about them as well, because kids are naturally curious, and we want them to know what each of these things are, so if an emergency does happen, they're not even more startled or more afraid because now it's raining in the school or different things like that. So make sure they're aware of that. And we're going to go ahead and take you through a fire drill in just a second. Now, whether you do a fire drill or not, you will definitely want to have an emergency exit plan, and this should be posted in different places in the school. And then you want to go over it. And my emergency exit plan, I have it color-coded. The primary exit areas would be the pink. So it's coming out of each room. It shows each room how to exit to the front door, no matter where they're coming from. I have a secondary exit just in case. I actually have a door that comes through here, so if we have too many people in this area to all fit through this door through the pink line, they can also filter through the green line and then hit the pink line to go out. So when we actually do our fire drill, we're going to follow this emergency exit plan, but this is also posted in our school. And then, of course, you should always make sure that you have fire extinguishers and that they are up to date. Hopefully, fire codes and so forth dictate in your area that you must do that as well. Next, we're going to do a fire drill. Fire drills are really important. Kids do fire drills all the time in school, but many times we don't think about it as instructors to do it in the karate school. But that would be very important because if fire ever broke out here in my facility or even in one of the units next door in this building, I would need to evacuate the building quickly, and I've got a lot of kids with just a few instructors to do that with. So we'll do this a few times and just practice it. And as we do this, I'm going to point out a lot of the things that we've already talked about in this fire unit for the dragons, about checking the smoke, checking the heat from the door, different things like that. So let's go ahead and walk through it, dragons, and we'll go from there. All right, dragons, now let's hold hands. Everybody hold hands. So you guys hold hands. Very good. Now we need to be very calm during a fire drill. We know there's a fire, but we can take care of it calmly. So everybody march with me very slowly, very careful, all the way to the door and freeze. Now before we go through this door, look, is there any smoke coming out from the door? No. And I'm feeling the door and feeling the doorknob. Feel this, Hunter. Feel that. Is it cold or is it hot? It's cold, so we know the fire's not right outside this door, so that's a good thing. All right, so let's open this door all the way up so that everybody can come out, and I want you guys to come out very carefully. Don't bow at the door because this is a fire drill. So very closely. Can we walk a little bit faster? There we go. You're doing good. Very carefully, holding hands. Everybody holding hands? Uh-oh, Hunter, you let go. Oh, we don't want to lose anybody, so we got to keep holding hands the whole time. Very good. Very carefully, single file. Hunter, go ahead and keep walking, kiddo. You got it, Sensei? All right, you guys. And freeze right here. Now, here's the parking lot. Everybody look. In the parking lot, there would be a fire truck here normally. So that what we would normally do is just keep walking and making sure that we're staying as far away from the fire truck as possible. And we're free. No fires, no nothing. Yay! We can clap. Yay! The next lesson in this unit is on the smoke escape. And the smoke escape is real important because we do know that in a fire situation, smoke inhalation causes more damage sometimes than fire does. But it's what they call the silent killer. A lot of times people don't really know, they're not aware that the smoke that they're inhaling is actually going to hurt them very bad or possibly kill them in the future. So what we want to do is we're going to do some activities with this. And it says to use a sheet, but you're going to see that I use a parachute. I have a parachute here in the school anyway, and we do a lot of parachute drills. So I'm going to show you how you can use either a sheet or a parachute or something like that to do some of these activities. This will make it fun. It will make it interactive. And we know that kids learn much better when they're having fun and when they're actually practicing rather than me just lecturing. I could tell the kids all about smoke and what will happen and things like that, but wait until we do the smoke escape drill and you'll get to see that firsthand. Now, this next activity is a lot of fun, and it really helps reiterate the point that smoke can be very dangerous for young children when there's a fire. Now, a lot of times, the children are in such a hurry to get out of the building or whatever that they're breathing a lot of that smoke, and that can be very dangerous. So we want them to understand that whenever there's smoke, they need to crawl really low to the ground and get underneath that smoke as much as possible. Now, in the curriculum, it says that you can use a sheet to do this. We have a parachute, so we're going to use a parachute because kids love parachute games. And rather than just having myself and Sensei hold the parachute, I'm going to get all of the dragons involved. And what they're going to have to do is trade places. So we're going to play a little parachute game, but at the same time they're working on crawling under the smoke. Are my dragons ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's back up and get our smoke out here. Very good. Hold that real tight, just like that. Good. Now freeze. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to call you one at a time. You're going to let go of your rings. Don't pull real hard on the parachute for me, please. Okay, but you're going to let go of your rings, and when I say so, and you're going to crawl to the other side, and you're going to trade places with one other dragon who's going to do the same thing. Is everybody ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I want Hunter to crawl over towards Matthew. Matthew, when Hunter gets over to your side, I want you to trade and go right over to where Hunter is. Are you ready? Matthew, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Hunter, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Hunter, crawl underneath the smoke. Good. Now, Matthew, switch places with him, and you come back. Very good. Now, Michael, it's your turn. Go over to Brady. Very good. And Brady, let go of yours and switch places with him. Very good. Oop, switch and hold it out straight. And freeze. You can add a lot of variations to this drill by having a larger group. Right now we've got a small group, so we're all holding on to two different tabs. You can even get the instructors involved. The dragons love to trade places with the instructors. So have fun and reiterate this drill every time you talk about fire. The next lesson in this unit actually involves a firefighter. This is where you would want to actually have your fireman come in if he can, or you can have someone dress up like a firefighter if they have some kind of uniform or costume that they can do that, or you can just show pictures. For today, I have brought in some pictures of what a fireman looks like when he is doing a rescue. They have their hat on, they have gloves and boots and a long jacket on. So they have all of their safety gear. That's right. These guys don't have masks on, but masks a lot of times is what they wear too, to keep so that they can breathe and see and everything okay. Now, you can relate this again to safety gear in the martial arts classroom. We all have, instead of boots, we have our feet gear. Instead of gloves, we have hand gear. Instead of their helmet, we have our head gear. We have shin pads, things like that. So you can, if they have gear, if you want, have them put it on during this lesson so they can almost kind of get all suited up for their emergency, just like the firemen would. If not, if you have some extra sets of gear and you want to pass it around and let them try that on too, that would be great. Another way to get them interactive in this program. The fireman himself will be just so cool that if you can get a firefighter, your kids will be talking about it for a long time, especially if he'll bring the truck. If he brings a truck and lets the kids around, oh my goodness. We did that here at our school, and it was huge excitement. So we will definitely make sure that we do that every time. Now, there's a lot of activities in here, and I haven't really been talking about that, but give these take-home sheets to your dragons. Have them take them home. Have them color them or do whatever activity is in the lesson, and then bring it back. You can do a couple of things. When they bring it back, you can just put one of the little dragon stickers on it and give it back to them to take home. You can keep it and put it up on a bulletin board, or just make a special little dragon wall. Make sure they put their name on it, because they'll like to show that to all of their friends and things like that. You could even give them a special prize for turning it in, like a little pencil or eraser or a stencil or something like that, just to reward them for it. And then I have designed sticker books in my school. So they get a special sticker in their book whenever they turn in their lesson. And if they've turned in each of the lessons for that unit, they actually can earn the patch that goes with that unit. And I'll show that to you in just a little bit. The last part of this lesson is really, really, really important, and that's 911. When I teach this lesson, my dragons seem to know what 911 is about. But sometimes they get a little confused as to when it's okay and when it's not okay to call 911. So we actually practice. And I brought in just a phone that is unplugged so that they can actually practice calling 911 and know what it's like and where the buttons are on the phone, but not actually calling 911, because we know that that would not be appropriate to do when we're practicing. It's only appropriate in an emergency. So this phone has big numbers, and that's great for little fingers. And I'm going to just kind of pass that around and let each one of the kids practice calling 911. And we do this, typically when we teach this class, we only let them call 911 when they answer the question correctly. So in this exercise, there's a whole list of times when they're supposed to call 911. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's do that. So Chase, don't call 911 yet, okay? Now, I'm going to read you some questions. And if you're supposed to call 911, then I want you to dial it. If not, I want you to hang up the phone. Do you understand what I'm saying? Can you say yes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. All right. You just tripped and stubbed your toe, and your toenail is bleeding a little bit. Do you call 911 or should you hang up the phone? Hang it up, boy. Okay, very good. Now pass it over to Dalton. Good. All right, Dalton. Pick up the phone. Are you ready? You just found your mom lying on the floor and you couldn't wake her up. Should you call 911 or should you hang up the phone? Very good. Now hold it up to your ear. The lady on the other end is going to say, 911, what is your emergency? What do you say?
My mom is on the floor by a bed and she won't wake up.
Very good, very good. Okay, you can hang up the phone now. Now, you can call the operator too, but it's much faster if you call 911.
And usually they know what number.
That's right. Very good. Dalton did my lesson last time. Some things that you can add to this lesson that's not in here. Whenever we go over the 911 lesson, we always review what is your name, what is your mom's full name, what is your dad's full name, what is your phone number, what is your address. And we have them articulate that and make sure that they can tell that. Now, we know that typically if you call 911 from your home phone, a lot of times they're already going to have that information. The 911 operator will have it. But nowadays, with cell phones being so prevalent and with the kids, just being on the go a lot, if they call from someone else's house or if they call from a cell phone, 911 is not going to have that information. So this is another opportunity for you to review that information with your dragons to make sure they know, so that when they do call 911, they can accurately report that emergency. So if they don't, any dragons that don't know that information, that's one of their homework assignments that I send home with them, and make sure they know it, and they got to come back and they got to tell it to me, and then I'll give them a sticker or give them a special prize or whatever, or even if it's just a high five, it's real important that they know it, and make sure you give them a lot of rewards for it. That concludes our lesson on fire safety. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot of good tips. Spend as much time as you want on this as you can, because you can really get the kids actively involved and having a lot of fun. So be careful. All right, this next unit is on holiday safety. Now, typically when I teach these Little Dragon safety units, I will teach a whole unit. We typically teach in our school one safety lesson per week, and then we'll do one whole unit until it's done, and then we'll move on to the next unit. And so we can review, and we kind of have a general theme. However, I don't use the holiday safety the same way. Instead, I interject these lessons as needed. For instance, holiday safety covers 4th of July. I don't talk about it right now in the middle of January. Instead, I would wait and talk about it right at the end of June, right before 4th of July comes. I know that most people are going to be going on vacation, and they may not get the lesson the actual week of 4th of July, so I typically do it the week before. Now, also the same thing follows with Halloween. Don't do Halloween in March. Do the Halloween safety unit where it's really fresh right before Halloween, and then make sure you give them the handout so they can go home and color it, and they have all of the safety rules right there. Now, vacation safety, I typically repeat that lesson a couple times a year. Right before spring break, I will do that lesson, and then I'll typically do it again right before they break for summer and for Christmas. So I typically repeat that lesson 3 times. And it is real important to remind them of what they need to be careful of when they go visit other people, when they go stay in hotels, and when just in general when they're away from home and they're not used to their usual routine. Now, this first lesson in this unit is on Halloween safety. Have fun. If you decide to do this, in our school we like to do some sort of haunted house or carnival, Halloween carnival, things like this. You can do this lesson the week before Halloween, and then if you do a carnival or you do something for Halloween, then go ahead and do this lesson again during that celebration to reiterate those same rules and things like that, and do that sometime during that Halloween party. These are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go over it. You can go over it on your own. But again, make sure the kids do it. As much as common sense as it is to us, it just isn't to them. They really need to be reminded over and over and over. Now, as far as 4th of July safety goes, it's really important because a lot of people have fireworks. And this is, again, where you want to talk to the dragons about the difference between what grown-ups can do and what kids can do. And it's really important for the dragons to make sure that they have their parents' permission. If at all possible, get your parents involved in this lesson so that they make sure that they follow these rules too. Because if they start bending certain rules and letting dragons handle some fireworks but not others, dragons aren't going to understand that difference, and they're not going to be able to make that differentiation on their own. And it could cause future problems. So instead, they can be Dad's helper. They can make sure they have the bucket of water that should always be available whenever messing with fireworks. They can make sure that they set the perimeter, and they can be on perimeter duty and make sure that nobody crosses the line that Dad establishes whenever shooting off fireworks. They can, we do let them know that if Mom and Dad say it's okay and Mom and Dad are around, they can hold the sprinklers or the sparklers, and sparklers are okay as long as Mom and Dad are around, but no other fireworks are okay for dragon age kids to even hold or touch or get anywhere near. So really reiterate that because they love it. It sparkles, it looks cool. Now, Happy Canada Day is very similar in Canada to the United States 4th of July. So use, in my school, I don't teach the Happy Canada Day lesson because, we're in the United States. And then, of course, vice versa. If you're in Canada, you don't have to do the 4th of July lesson. The kids, of course, love to color, so make sure you pass out the coloring pages, which also reiterates the rules. Now, this next lesson is on vacation safety. And vacation safety actually encompasses many different safety units that we've already gone over. I actually expand a little bit more on this unit than what's actually written here. Knowing that most people, when they go on vacation, are going to stay in a hotel or go over to a stranger's house. Even if it's grandma's house or whatever, they're not used to that home. So the same thing that we did with fire drill can be done then. It's a good idea. Make sure that the kids understand that when they get into a hotel, all of the same rules like fire drill, tornado drill, different things like that, they can apply then. So if they're going on vacation to Florida during hurricane season, it's a good idea for them to remember what those rules are. If they're going on vacation to California, it's a good idea for them to remember what the safety issues are for earthquakes. If they're just going down the street, but they're staying in a hotel, they should still know what the emergency exit plan is for that hotel, and encourage the families to do a fire drill or a safety check or a safety inspection with their kids as soon as they check into that hotel or whenever they get to someone else's house. So you can really expand on this in that direction. And it's a good review of all of those other segments at the same time. Also with vacation, many times people are spending a lot of time out in the sun. We did in Little Dragon Safety, we talked about being careful in the weather. And if you're spending a lot of time out in the sun, you need to use sunscreen and you need to drink a lot of water. So also reiterate this again during this vacation safety. All right, and be sure to take advantage of these handouts. Make sure you give this to each child when you conclude this lesson, teaching this lesson again right before they go on vacation. Spring break, summer, and Christmas break around that time. This has all the rules on it, which will help them remember at home, and it will help parents remember to reiterate the rules once they get to their vacation spot. Now, I know I went through this really briefly and really quickly, but it's all pretty self-explanatory. If you've been on vacation, which I'm sure you have, make sure that you put a lot of your personal insights into it. If you have a family yourself, make sure that you get them involved and keep in mind what you would do for your family is what you need to teach your kids. Now, have fun with the safety units, but again, emphasize the importance so that the kids don't have so much fun that they forget how important these lessons are. Be creative, though.